Emma never meant to end up here. The concert ticket had been gathering dust in her kitchen drawer for weeks, wedged between crumpled takeout menus and expired coupons. Her co-worker, Jessica, had practically shoved it into her hands, fed up with Emma's excuses. "You gotta live a little," Jessica said, rolling her eyes. "And no, streaming nature docs on your couch doesn't count as a social life." So there she was, squished into a seat that probably cost more than her monthly grocery bill. The crowd around her looked like they'd walked straight out of a glossy magazine. Designer outfits, flawless makeup, the works. Emma fiddled with the sleeve of her denim jacket, suddenly feeling like it screamed out of place. The venue was pure extravagance. Sparkling chandeliers, ornate ceiling murals with gold accents, and an air that reeked of wealth and self-importance. She glanced at her ticket stub, half expecting to find a dress code she'd somehow missed. Up on stage, the famous singer strutted, all swagger and spotlight. He scanned the audience, hunting for his next target, a quiet nobody to roast for a quick laugh. His eyes landed on Emma, sitting quietly in the back row, unassuming. Easy prey, he thought. Big mistake. Sometimes the quiet ones are hiding something that'll turn the tables in ways you never see coming. The singer, Jace Ryder, was riding high on the crowd's energy. His sold-out show at the Paramount Theater in downtown Seattle was a spectacle. Flashing lights, pulsing bass, and a sea of fans screaming his name. At 28, he'd already snagged 3 Grammys, a string of chart toppers, and a reputation for picking on audience members to keep his shows edgy. It was his thing. Spot someone who looked shy or out of place, toss a few playful jabs, and watch the crowd eat it up. Tonight, his gaze locked on Emma, slouched slightly in her seat, her denim jacket a stark contrast to the glittering outfits around her. "Yo, check out Miss Low-Key back there," Jace said, smirking into the mic as he pointed her way. The spotlight swung to Emma, pinning her like a deer in headlights. The crowd turned, chuckling, waiting for the roast. "What's your deal, huh? You look like you wandered in from a coffee shop open mic. Lost your way to the poetry slam." The laughter rippled through the audience. Emma's cheeks flushed, but she didn't shrink. She sat up straighter, her hazel eyes meeting Jace's with a calm intensity that threw him off for a split second. He pushed on, undeterred. "What's your name, sweetheart? Come on, don't be shy now." "Emma," she said, her voice steady, cutting through the mic's feedback. No hesitation. The crowd hushed, sensing something off script. "Emma, huh? So what's your story? You here to critique my set list or just vibing with the cheap seats?" Jace grinned, expecting her to fumble or blush harder. He leaned forward, ready to milk the moment. Emma tilted her head, a faint smile tugging at her lips. "Actually, I'm here because my friend forced me. Said I needed to get out more, but I'm starting to think I should have stayed home with my documentaries." The crowd chuckled, but it wasn't the mocking laugh Jace was used to. It was warmer, like they were laughing with her. Jace blinked, thrown by her confidence. "Documentaries? Oh, come on, you're too young to be that boring. What's next, knitting and early bedtimes?" Emma shrugged, unfazed. "Maybe, but I bet I know more about the ocean than you know about writing a decent bridge for your songs." The crowd gasped, then erupted into cheers and scattered oohs. Jace's smirk faltered. He wasn't used to his targets clapping back, let alone landing a hit. The Jumbotron caught his expression, a flicker of surprise before he masked it with a laugh. Okay, we got a feisty one. What, you some kind of marine biologist or something?" "Something like that," Emma said, her tone casual but sharp. She wasn't just playing along. She was steering this. The audience leaned in, sensing the shift. Jace, still thinking he had control, decided to double down. "All right, ocean girl, let's see what you got. You think you can school me? Let's hear it. Give us some deep-sea wisdom." He crossed his arms, expecting her to flinch or backpedal. Emma stood up, brushing off her jeans like she was about to walk onto a stage of her own. The crowd buzzed. She didn't need a mic. Her voice carried. "Did you know the Pacific Ocean has trenches deeper than Mount Everest is tall? Places where creatures live that don't need light, don't need warmth, just pressure and grit. Kinda like me right now dealing with you." The theater exploded. Claps, whistles, a few fans even stood up. Jace's jaw tightened, but he forced a grin. Not bad, not bad. You got a TED Talk lined up or what?" Emma didn't miss a beat. "Maybe I do, but I'd rather save it for an audience that listens instead of fishing for cheap shots." The crowd roared louder, and Jace's cool guy facade cracked just enough for the cameras to catch it. He tried to pivot, waving a hand like he was in on the joke. "All right, Emma, you win this round. Let's give her a hand, folks." The applause was deafening, but it wasn't for him. It was for the quiet woman in the back row who just turned his game upside down. As the spotlight finally swung away, Emma sat back down, heart pounding but face calm. She hadn't come here to make a scene, but she wasn't about to let some pop star make her the punchline. Backstage, Jace's manager was already whispering about damage control, while Emma's phone buzzed with texts from Jessica. "Girl, you're viral already. Who are you?" Emma ignored the messages, slipping her phone into her pocket. She wasn't here for fame or clout, but as she settled back into her seat, the faintest smirk crossed her face. Sometimes the quiet ones have the loudest surprises. The concert rolled on, but the energy in the room had shifted. Jace powered through his set, belting out hits with his signature swagger, but the crowd wasn't as locked in as before. Phones were out, not just recording him, but buzzing with clips of Emma's takedown spreading across social media. By the time he hit his encore number, Ocean Girl was trending on X, with fans and strangers alike dissecting the moment. "Who is she?" Posts flooded the platform, alongside memes of Jace's stunned face looping on the Jumbotron. Emma, meanwhile, stayed put in her seat, trying to blend back into the crowd. Her phone kept vibrating, Jessica's texts now mixed with notifications from friends, and even a few strangers tagging her in clips. "You're a legend," one read. "Did you plan that?" another demanded. She muted her phone and shoved it deep into her jacket pocket, focusing on the stage. Jace was mid-song, crooning about heartbreak, but Emma's mind was elsewhere. She hadn't meant to steal the show. All she'd wanted was a night out, maybe a distraction from her routine. Work, home, repeat. The truth was, Emma wasn't just some random concert goer. By day, she was a marine biologist at a research lab in Puget Sound, studying deep-sea ecosystems. She spent her hours analyzing data from ocean trenches, places so alien they made Jace's glitzy world look like a kiddie pool. But she kept that part of herself quiet, not out of shyness, but because she didn't need to broadcast it. Her work spoke for itself. At least it did to the handful of scientists who read her papers. Tonight, though, she'd let a sliver of that fire slip out, and now the internet was running with it. As the final chords of Jace's set faded, the crowd surged to their feet, cheering but distracted. Emma grabbed her bag, ready to slip out before the rush to the exits. She wasn't here for an encore or an apology, but as she edged toward the aisle, a security guard in a black polo appeared, blocking her path. "Miss, could you come with me for a sec?" he said, voice polite but firm. Emma froze, her stomach twisting. "Is something wrong?" "No trouble," the guard said, offering a small smile. "Just a request from backstage." The people around her started whispering, craning their necks. Emma's first instinct was to say no. She wasn't about to be dragged into some PR stunt. But the guard's expression wasn't pushy, and curiosity got the better of her. She nodded, following him through a side door and down a fluorescent-lit hallway that smelled faintly of sweat and stage smoke. Backstage was chaos, roadies hauling equipment, staff barking into headsets, and a few groupies lingering near a roped-off area. The guard led her to a small green room where Jace stood, wiping sweat from his forehead with a towel. He looked different up close, less like a polished superstar, more like a guy who'd just run a marathon. His manager, a wiry woman with a clipboard, hovered nearby, scrolling frantically on her phone. "Hey, Emma, right?" Jace said, tossing the towel aside. His voice was casual, but his eyes were cautious, like he was sizing her up. "That was something out there." Emma crossed her arms, keeping her distance. "Didn't mean to derail your show." Jace laughed, but it sounded forced. "Nah, you didn't derail anything. Crowd loved it. You're like a whole vibe." He paused, glancing at his manager, who gave him a subtle nod. "So what's your deal? You really a scientist, or was that just a good line?" Emma raised an eyebrow. "I study deep-sea ecosystems. Not exactly headline material, but it's real." "Damn," Jace said, leaning against a table. "That's actually kind of dope. You like dive into the ocean, or what?" Emma stepped away from the dock, the sunset fading behind her as the quiet of the evening settled in. She wasn't chasing fame, but she'd made her mark on her terms. The ocean had taught her resilience, and last night she'd shown the world a glimpse of it. Ocean Girl wasn't just a hashtag, it was a reminder that even the quiet ones can make waves.